Welcome to episode 1 of Wander and Keith's unnamed, unscheduled, and unformatted podcast. We've got this completely figured out, as you can tell. And
yes,
we're basically handling this the same way we handled Let's Playing, I'm sure, which was just to jump in and figure it out afterwards.
Hey Keith, are you busy on Sunday night? No? Okay, let's play some Divinity.
Yeah, that's how that whole series has happened somehow. And somehow it hasn't been cancelled like all the other ones. I don't know what
impressive.
our lives are.
I mean, it's two of us, and it's convenient.
Yeah.
And there's not weird impediments to co-op, like that Bloodborne series that will never see the light of day.
Oh, here's a fun question on that topic, Wander. Literally the first question
Okay.
I'm seeing in my chat is, when are you going to play World of Warcraft again? Wander.
Shell wants to. I wouldn't mind. So, kind of whenever. I don't know. I'm probably not going to stream it, but the interest is there.
And then I looked at your chat and saw, will Keith betray you somehow during this? after I asked you that question.
I mean,
with the delay, they didn't know that it happened yet. But literally the first question is backing you into a corner about one of our many canceled MMO shows where you guys wander off.
I would rather bring World of Warcraft back than play more WildStar. I liked WildStar's aesthetic, but that was
you'd
not
probably
worth...
prefer to bring WoW back because it's the only one of those 3 MMOs on your channel, right?
Yes. It's also the easiest game to play, like, out of all of the ones we had, because it was such a smooth... It was such a smooth process going through. Like, the dungeons got kind of messy occasionally, but for the most part, it's like, alright, get a quest, walk off, kill things, talk about shit for 3 hours straight. We're done.
I'd say the story made it easier, too, because it was just text boxes you could kind of ignore. Because
yes,
WildStar was really hard to do, but Tor was, like, impossible, because it was just tons of exposition, and to be honest, like, for a BioWare game in particular, super dialogue heavy, but kind of really
meaningless.
Boring in its writing.
Yes.
It's more verbose than meaningful, and then you just have 4 people you put together, and they're all just staring at their screen in awe until someone spawns naked in a scene, and then that's the centerpiece of the entire session.
I've got the footage ready for that. I'll send it over tonight.
Behind the curtain.
Following that, will we play RuneScape?
I played RuneScape in high school when I was
I played a shit ton of...
to not be in a class, basically.
I played a shit ton of RuneScape when I was in middle school. I think I got up past level 100. I was very impressed with myself. Did that game ever get more interesting than just being a proto Facebook game? I really enjoyed doing the quests because they were at least trying to be fun and interesting, and you had to do puzzles and stuff. And I made like $300 doing quests for people that I knew.
I honestly don't think I found a quest in that game. I think I just found mining.
You were never a member. Like, all the good quests you actually had to pay to get access to.
It's one of the first free-to-play games.
Yeah, membership had actually a fair amount of benefits for the game, and it was really cheap at the time.
Yeah, it's funny seeing such an early example of that. It's like how people get mad about paid content on video content on the internet, but, like, Rooster Teeth has had sponsorships for, like, 15 years now.
Yeah.
Which is just crazy to see.
Good for them. They're a massive company. Let's see. I guess we should probably mention, like, all these questions we're responding to are either live or brought in from videos. So if you guys listen to this and want us to answer more questions, ask us questions, please.
The best part about this video is going to be watching my weird tick where I blink too hard and my eyebrows move. That happens when I know someone's looking at me.
Weird. I just realized my face cam was like 2 pixels to the right, and it was getting really confusing. I was like, why do I have like black bars on the side? Oh, it's just been moved in the wrong direction.
Missed. How dare you call yourself a professional YouTuber, Twitcher, tuber.
You know what? I barely use webcam. I bought one because a lot of people wanted me to get one, and then I stopped using it when XSplit started dying on me. Because it wasn't worthwhile. Let's see. Okay. I guess switching topic back to Souls. What's the hardest Dark Souls boss for you? And I'm going to include Demon Souls as well.
And
seeing
Bloodborne?
as at least we can talk about them. No, I haven't played Bloodborne, so I can't.
Oh.
I'm just going to stare at you blankly if you respond with anything there.
Does it have to be a boss?
Okay. What's not a boss that's so hard?
I think the hardest thing in Dark Souls, period, is the a place called the Frigid Outskirts in the Ivory King DLC for Dark Souls 2. Which contains no boss in the part that actually is difficult. It's just...
Is this just evil. The one with all the ice dudes that hit you a bunch and, like, shoot ice at you? Because Bert and I just did this last night, and I'm trying to remember what was so hard about it.
Was it a blizzard?
Yeah, like it was snowing the entire time.
Yeah. It's just a nightmare. Especially if you're solo. It's just the most aggravating thing of trying to run through this place that takes like 10 minutes to run through so that you can get to a boss that's a double boss, and then your chances of beating a double boss is always kind of up in the air because there's some random elements there.
We might have missed that because we fought the tiger and then we fought the king and got our ass kicked. So now we have to go find the couple of knights. So that might be an area we haven't been to yet.
Oh yeah, you haven't been there yet then.
Huh.
Yeah, because every DLC has 3 bosses. That's the optional co-op area, and all three DLCs have an optional co-op area that's kind of not great. Like, it's a gauntlet of way too many enemies, followed by a boss that's either... Let's see, one boss was NPC enemies, one of them was a reskin of the main game boss, and the other one was a reskin of a boss from the same DLC, basically. So they're not original content very much, but it's just a mean area.
Okay. I'll have to take a look at it, because I've never seen that. Yeah.
And now we went through the entire area. Why is Wonder doing a podcast?
Yeah. I mean, I like podcasts. I want to do more of them. They do well when I put them up. It's just a matter of like, when do we do them? And the answer was Fridays kind of work, especially if everybody else leaves.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Chat wants to know when we're going to do a fighting game. I challenge you to Dead or Alive and nothing else ever.
I don't have it.
That's my only corner. Is it even on PC yet?
I mean, we could do like... Yeah, there is one.
We could technically face off on the free version that's on PS4.
See, I was thinking we should get Dive Kick. Like a 2-pack of Dive Kick, and that'll be our fighting game.
I think... Oh yeah, does Dive Kick have online?
Yeah, it's got online. Fun. It's got online versus, and it looks really fun.
Dive Kick is super fun.
That would be the one to go with. Either that or Lethal League if you wanted to try that.
Yeah, but I'd super probably win because I have a lot more.
I have a lot more practice with Lethal League. Let's see. I guess my next one is: do you watch other Let's Plays, and who's your favorite Let's Player?
The inevitable. We actually shared a lot of overlap there, or at least we did when you visited last year.
It's true.
Because I think we both watched Achievement Hunter Let's Plays, and we both watched Game Grumps.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've actually completely stopped watching Achievement Hunter. Now that Ray's gone, there's some like weird level of magic that has just disappeared for me. Which is weird, because he barely said anything.
Yeah, I don't get that. I just need Ryan in my life.
Ryan was pretty good. I really liked their Legend of the Hidden Temple thing. But, I don't know.
I also consistently watch Gold Vision, but the level of Let's Play-ness varies from video to video for that series.
I need to watch more Gold Vision, because he has the actual channel.
Oh yeah,
with,
right.
Like,
and he has a spin-off channel called Planet Space Coffee, which is just a lot of really funny like highlight moments that from a weird collaboration sessions, which is fantastic, and no one watches it.
I really loved his like original, just like stupid Planet Side 2 videos, and I always wanted to do something similar. Let's see. My favorite Let's Player is Danny Sexbang.
Absolutely.
I don't like Aaron that much. I don't like Ross that much.
Danny's amazing.
Barry's okay.
It took me
Ross, holy shit.
It took me 2 weeks to realize that John was replaced by someone I liked even more than John on Game Grumps.
See, I just watch Game Grumps every once in a while. I'm like, I'm just really disappointed that there's no John Dan.
Oh yeah. There was a weird little reunion moment though recently. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see it at all.
I feel like this is spoilers for something, so I'll tell you about it after the podcast, actually.
Okay.
But, there was an interesting moment recently, but that's could ruin videos for someone. I don't want to do that.
I'll have to go watch more Game Grumps.
Yeah.
I've been reading a lot of books lately, so I haven't been watching any Let's Plays.
Now they're asking why Ray left Achievement Hunter. I don't think we're the people to ask for that necessarily.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, he made more money. He makes more money streaming. Yeah. And he has a lot more creative control. That's it.
I think it's the same thing that happened when JonTron left Game Grumps, where unless you get a specific answer from just him, it's dangerous to speculate. Because people spent like 2 years freaking out about conspiracies about like what was going on between Egoraptor and JonTron when he left that group, when at the end of the day he was moving to the side of the country and was probably just planning on doing other shit with his life because people do things.
I'm going to skip ahead to like question number wherever on the list about if we ever have a gaming house. One, we should probably talk about that-ish, but if we ever like disband the gaming house, we need to come up with like just the stupidest, like most convoluted reason for everybody dissolving and not talking to each other again.
It'll all somehow still be bird lore.
Yeah, probably.
Everything's bird lore when you come down to it.
Even if we don't talk to Bird anymore, it was Bird's fault.
Like on that topic though, trying to come up with theories why Ray leaves Achievement Hunter or like JonTron leaves Game Grumps is like it'd be like freaking out over like why I left Sad Games when at the end of the day I got a job and I moved like away, and that's just how normal life works. It's super boring.
It seems like it was a good decision from like a channel perspective though. You've been doing a hell of a lot more like stuff.
Oh yeah, I can't on your own. I can't reasonably drive an hour both ways just to do collaboration sessions on a weekly basis while doing a personal channel and having the job itself. It's just boring adult stuff. And that's the death of friendships. Yay.
Yeah. I also personally think everybody in like a YouTube group should just have their own channel, and if you do a collab, you just...
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's the biggest takeaway I got from doing Sad Games is group stuff's great. And it's great to have someone else there to motivate you, which is the primary reason to do a channel together, is the idea of, like, you feel somewhat obligated to work together with somebody. But at the end of the day, there's so much dispute over, like, who has control over what, and, like, who gets the channel at the end of the day, or who makes final executive decisions, or there's even just moments where even if you give someone, you give someone editing duty, and then you see the final video, and you're like, what did you do? And you just get frustrated by other people's decisions, but that's just part of working with people all the time. That's why it's always great to the fact that we just give each other copies of videos half the time and just we do with them as we please.
I'm insulting you mildly in chat.
Oh yeah, I see it. Who's more entertaining, Bird or Keith? Bird's funnier, but Kef is a better Let's Player. Although I do have literally a direct line to Bird's funny bone. Like, every other stream we do, I will say something and he'll be the only person that laughs, and that'll happen like 5 times in a row. So I know exactly what works on him somehow.
Yeah, I was actually... I heard that comment on one of our previous videos and went back and watched it, and it's like, yeah, it's weird.
Oh, yeah. It's because he gets me.
Yeah.
Part of it is that you're a shut-in that does anime and video games, so a lot of the stuff will just be like, nope. I don't get that reference. I'm Captain America.
It is true. I am... I have not been outside much recently. For any reason.
I got a weird question.
Okay.
Okay, so... I wonder if I should check who this one was really quick. Let's see. This question's from Mr. Blocks Gaming. And he misspelled my name when he tried to tag me with the Google Plus thing. But then he responded to his own comment to tag me again and misspelled it again. That's interesting. But,
all right, Koof.
But the comment is, number 1, are you looking for a subordinate? Number 2, how far do you go? How far do you plan on going on YouTube? And number 3, if you plan to have a subordinate, how many would you have? Subscribers who backseat gaming, chat, Skyping, or people who just help you with recordings like filler people? I don't even... This is weird a little bit. So
you're going to enjoy seeing that when it comes through on the Facecam side of thing.
Were you watching? Were you just making faces in reaction to that one?
Yeah. Oh God, questions like that really hurt.
Yeah, it is kind of like the usual thing of like when someone... It's like, man, I love your stuff. It seems like you'd be someone great to chill with. Send me a friend request on PlayStation 4, and I'll join you on your Dark Souls show. And it's like, you always have to... Or like when you're streaming and your various people watching your stream want to join your multiplayer session right then and there. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
like,
you don't...
Sometimes it works. We brought on a viewer earlier for Paladins.
Technically, Roxy and Purple are viewers that came in.
It's true. Really the general requirement is we have to need you for some reason, and you have to be decent. Like, before I ever played with Roxy, I spent like 4 hours playing Robocraft silently with her and just listening to her commentate with one other guy.
Huh.
And she was really good. And I was like, all right.
You Andrew'd her.
Pretty much. Well, so this was at 7 a.m. I had just finished streaming for 10 hours. I didn't want to talk.
Oh, you were just hanging out, and it was coincidence that you were kind of vetting someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It works. But
for me the issue is just that I don't... Subordinate's weird because I don't have... Yeah. I don't make money enough or have a scale enough to have any need for like underlings. Like I don't need like a personal Let's Play bitch or anything like that. But also,
the only underling I would ever need would be a part-time like PR representative to get me games, but that happens already, so I don't need it.
Like a lot of Let's Players could use an depending on the situation, like an editor or a PR person to do just like get their games / help like with the video bandwidth basically. But like Let's Play that you don't just like randomly pick one up for that kind of stuff. And getting someone for filler content's weird because when you have a personal channel, like you and I both have channels that are primarily just us, and then we'll randomly do multiplayer stuff. Getting anybody
to like do a video for you on your channel would be bad.
Yeah, because like no one wants that person or knows who that person is. And even our multiplayer stuff, people often complain about the other people in the multiplayer sessions, and our multiplayer stuff, despite being really fun, and some people really like it, they're often noticeably less viewed than our solo stuff on our channels. So there's not much incentive to try to do this whole concept. And if I want to just do collaborative stuff, I can always just hit up you or Andrew or Bird. So
we don't even have enough time to do our Monster Hunter series, much less...
Yeah, with the full time and everything, like we meet up like once a week to do like a 4-hour session of Divinity, and that's the total of my collaborations for the week, and then I go back to everything else. That's like what I've got in me. Hidden Soldier asks for PC advice. You're gonna want to actually say the question first. I can't just give blanket advice.
Make your own one. Look for sales. Good luck. PC, Build a PC is a really good subreddit. Yeah, read it.
Probably. I'm not a good person to ask for PC advice. Do you know much about PC technical stuff, really?
Yeah, actually, I've built 7 computers now.
Okay.
And 3 servers, and managed a lot of... For an art student, I have a lot of hard drive stuff. Yes. Let's see.
I know what you need to Let's Play, and that's it.
Top 10 games of 2015, let's boil it down to like 2 or 3.
Top 10?
Yeah.
People script those videos.
Yeah, I know.
It's just going to be the first 10 I can think of.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Oh, shit. What came out in...
I'm just going to list off games that I really liked. You know what? I'm going to look at my playlists, and I'm just going to go from that, because I generally played my favorite games from 2015.
That's exactly what I'm thinking, yeah. I mean, in 2015 specifically, I basically haven't played video games, besides what I'm playing on the channel. The hard part is the splitting point between 2015 and 2014.
Yeah, and early access, if that's involved.
Like, Dragon Age was 2014, right? But Witcher's 2015?
Yeah. Dragon Age was last November, so...
Okay. So I would say my favorite games of 2015 are... Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, Soma, Bloodborne, and Witcher 3, and Undertale so far.
Yep.
Because Undertale's fantastic.
Undertale is really well done.
And Soma is one of my favorite sci-fi stories I've heard in a while, which automatically ranks it immediately, even if there's at least too many monsters in that game.
Okay. I've got Chroma Squad. And...
I need to play that still.
It's so good. It's, like, really campy and really stupid, but that's why it's good.
Just to be clear, Talos Principle and Grimrock 2 are both last year, right?
Yes.
Yeah, those would have ranked. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Weirdly, Darkest Dungeon is going to be a 2016 game.
I would count Darkest Dungeon as a 2015, just because Early Access came out this year. Like, it's been around. Guild of Dungeoneering. Guild of Dungeoneering was really good.
That's alright, yeah. A little too random for me.
Yeah.
The fact that nothing was permanent besides what you were adding to your deck was kind of a bummer. And at least when I played, I think there was no way to remove things from your deck. Right?
No. Yeah, there weren't.
So if you bought stuff and it was a bad idea to buy it for your particular strategies you were using, you were kind of permanently damaging your campaign.
Sort of. I mean, really, you just had to make sure you get the right equipment along the way and cheesing it. Like, if you knew what you were doing...
Once I realized that healing at full health gave you more hearts, I was like, well, I get this game now.
So there was a tier 2 class called the Alchemist who increased all healing by 1. I went through the entire DLC with one guy. Yeah, it was incredibly overpowered. So you just never died a single time? Pretty much, yeah. It was really ridiculous. To the point where, like, I fought a boss with no equipment because the character derped out and I still won. That was really fun.
I definitely did. I did at least one of the worlds of that game, but I kind of petered off just because no one was watching it. But that was a fun game. It's definitely not like some games I've played where I kind of have to fight my way through the game out of spite. Type 0.
I'm gonna check Guild of Dungeoneering. I'm still on the first page for Guild of Dungeoneering, so I had a lot of views for that. I ended up getting pushed out by Bear Taffy, Blitzkriegslayer, Jesse Cox, and Total Biscuit.
Oh, those annoying big people.
Good for him. But yeah.
Is Disgaea still occupied entirely by the two of us? Because last time I checked, if you look up Disgaea, like Let's Play Disgaea 5 on... Yep, I'm looking up Let's Play Disgaea 5 right now on YouTube, and every single thumbnail is you or me, which is amazing because I'm playing your copy of the game, so it's one copy of the game dominating the entire front page.
It's mostly you, from what I can tell.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of pink on there.
Yeah, which is weird, but whatever.
We'll never fully understand how it works.
Yeah.
We won't. We can pretend to, and we can tell people on the Let's Play subreddit that we might know what we're doing, but no one fully understands the alchemy behind search results.
Let's see. Out of my group, who would I want to be with if I was stranded on an island? I'd probably just drown myself. We're not making it out of that.
What's on an island?
If we're stranded on an island.
What happens? Are we supposed to bring stuff with us?
Who do we... Just one person from our group.
Just one person? Oh, from our group. Oh, you guys all suck. No.
Yeah, exactly. We'd all die. Like, I might as well just drown and be done with it, because we're not going to make it one way or another.
I mean, Andrew's really skinny. He probably couldn't fight back.
It's true.
But then how much meat do you get from that?
Does Pocket Pack work?
Does Pocket Pack count? The most... Is he still alive?
I don't know.
I don't actually know.
Last I heard, he was filing for bankruptcy, which made me feel really bad.
Oh. So he's only dead on the inside. That's horrible.
Yeah. And then I guess my last game would probably be Cryptarch, just because I think Cryptarch is really...
Cryptarch.
Snazzy. It's a really good roguelike.
That was the roguelike scavenging game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did an episode on that. I had to separate my head from the one where you're a mech running around in a city.
Oh, yeah, that one. That I never played.
Notice how neither of us said Fallout.
It's okay.
It's exactly Fallout. It's okay. That is an okay game. It sure is okay.
I would say Xenoblade, but that game makes me incredibly angry, all the time.
I had to get back on one of my roommates because I was mentioning that I was incorrectly saying that Undertale was the highest rated game on Metacritic this year. That's actually, it's outranked by a few things, but his immediate response was like, "How's that possible? It's a Fallout year." And I'm like, well, Well, Fallout 4 is Fallout 4, though. Like, it sure is all right.
Bethesda was great, but it hasn't improved.
It got worse. It actually, it's worse now. Like, Fallout 4 is in many ways a worse game than Fallout 3 was. Like, that's highlighted by the fact that Shadow Sight sponsored me playing Fallout 3 for a few episodes before 4 came out, and, like, at the beginning of that game, minor spoilers for optional stuff in Fallout 3, a game from 2007, you're warned, or 2008, but, you get to Megaton. Everyone knows at this point that you can basically blow the place up, but I get the guy solicits me to blow this place up. I don't have the stats to actually be able to arm the bomb because my character's stupid and lucky and agile. So I go I find out the guy at the bar has a drug addiction. I interrogate him and blackmail him. I agree to meet him at nighttime in the water room. I get the stuff from him, and then I murder him for the drugs that make me smarter, use the brain drugs to hack into the bomb, and then go off to Tenpenny Tower to watch it explode in this crazy explosion, and that was something that happened in that game. In Fallout 4, you walk to various towns, and someone says to go clear a place, and the game gives you 4 dialogue options, and you can basically say yes, sarcastic yes, or no, which actually means yes. And you just do tasks, and you can't do anything interesting for almost any of the quests. And it's like, this sure is a game that's a series of checklists. Like, it is the Assassin's Creed of Fallout games. And it's a good game overall, but man, it is the Assassin's Creed of Fallout games, where you just get a map covered in stuff, and it's like, I'm going to do those things on the map, and then you're out of stuff to do. And that's the game.
It definitely does do better things. Like, I like the gun customization better. I don't like the piecemeal armor. That pisses me off to no end, because it all looks stupid, but you need to use it if you're wearing good armor. I was really put off by the fact that the armor
in that game isn't actually full armor, or like full limbs even.
I don't know if you've ever seen my character, but he looks like a retarded spaceman. And it annoys me to no end, because it's like, I want to have a character in like a duster with like metal plating that I slapped on the shoulders for extra defense, not Fallout jumpsuit plus weird belts and, like, padding, which is weirdly more defensible. And I don't like that.
Oh, yeah. It's weird that you wear some random piece of regular clothes, basically, like the Fallout jumpsuit or Raider leathers, or I'm wearing athletic gear, which is the baseball uniform, and then you put, like, 3 little plates on your skin, and that's your armor. Like, it covers a piece of my shoulder. It's like, that's my armor I'm spending all this time customizing that leaves like 70 to 80% of my body totally just nude. It's actually really bothersome, because at first I didn't understand what was going on, so I'm like, I'm wearing full armor right now. Why am I naked? Like, I had to figure out how to put on underclothes, because wearing a full set of armor
it's not even
basically
obvious.
Isn't clothes.
You can't sort by part. The fact that you can't sort by part bothers me to no end. It's like, can I just look at shoulder pads so I can compare all of them? No.
Chat's saying that mods would make the game better, but mods aren't going to make the game have better story. Like, it's not going to make the game more of a role-playing game and less of a check-off this list of tasks you can do game.
I definitely don't give a shit about any of the characters or quests.
So, you want to hear, like, a sequence of events where, like, all NPC interactions broke down for me, and I just was mad at the game? So, I went into a vault, and there's people in the vault, and because the door was open when I came in, a cat was going to run away. One character was like, hello, cat. Oh, no, what are you doing up here? No, come back. And then the cat starts running away. And then
I know exactly what you're talking about.
A millisecond later, before the cat even passes this character, there's a character in the hallway that is sitting there saying, oh, no, the cat got away. Aaron's going to be so sad. I had the exact same
thing happen. The cat was bugged running into a wall next to him.
Yeah, the cat's just it's right there, and they're like, oh no, he's awake. Aaron's gonna be so sad. It's definitely dead out there on the way. So I'm like, it's right in front of you. Just grab it. It's a cat. But then I went out to get the cat later on, and it's just outside. You just talk to it, and it magically goes all the way back to the vault when you talk to it for 1 second.
Oh, you actually got a quest to send the cat back in?
Yeah.
I went into that vault. I spent an hour in there.
If you talk to the girl, she gives you the quest to get it back.
I did. She didn't.
Here's what's magical. everyone in the entire vault instantly knows the cat's gone because it's a massive global tragedy. So if you go straight to the basement, they're already complaining about how sad the cat's gone. The kid that's touring you around the entire vault has no idea the cat's gone, and there's a sudden reveal in a conversation where he finds that out when he's the only person somehow that doesn't know. But then I go get the cat, I send him back with one click, and he runs in a perfect line back to the vault. And then someone runs up to me, "Oh my god, raiders are killing us, you gotta help us." And then he just slowly starts walking towards Diamond City, completely neutral, and I talk to him again, he's like, "I should check out Diamond City." I'm like, this is not role playing. This is not an immersive world. These are weird droid people.
There's no immersion. I feel like there are a lot of quests that could have been interesting, and they're just not.
The fact that they decided to put synths in this game as a weird undercurrent race is like self-parody, because you'll never be able to identify them. It's impossible.
Yes.
Because everyone acts like a synth.
Yep. I had high hopes, and then it seemed like it was meaningless. I'm at the point where you have to make the decision between all of the factions, like which is the one you want to support. And I've actually stopped playing because I don't give enough of a shit about anybody to make a decision. And so I was like, I'm just going to think about this for a week. I haven't played in over a month.
You haven't played Fallout a single time in over a month? Wow, you really binged that game.
Yeah, I really did. Wow. Well, if you remember, my computer was having like a really hard time with like footage and rendering and everything. So like the only game I could play was Fallout, and I only emotionally was ready to play Fallout. So I played like 40 hours of Fallout in 2 weeks. A lot of content, especially because I don't cut out much. Oh yeah, let's see.
And there's a lot you
switch
can
gears
cut out.
Away. Yeah, let's switch gears away from Fallout for a bit. Favorite food to cook and eat.
To cook and eat. I mean, pizza.
My favorite food to cook is chili, because I make a really, really good vegetarian chili.
I like to make Alfredo chicken pizza.
I can't make pizza. Anytime I try and make pizza, the crust is disappointing.
Last time I got a tomato paste and started spooning out chunks of it all over the pizza, and they like turned into little chunks everywhere. They hardened up and crusted up that way, and it was amazing.
Actually, when I was in Croatia, they had pizzu dough, and it tasted like breadsticks, but like the really, really high-end breadsticks, but it was pizza crust.
Yeah.
And you just roll it out and bake it, and it was so good. Let's see.
Korak, I'm going to go ahead and skip on fuck, marry, kill questions. just as a general rule.
Will we ever play DS or 3DS games? Can't. The hardware is expensive and it's not worth it.
I would love to play 3DS games, but yeah, you have to buy special hardware, and I hear that it has a tendency to break relatively quickly, which means you just have to buy another one. Because I want to play Fire Emblem.
Also, fuck Nintendo. Just saying that now. Did you hear that they copyright claimed my my Xenoblade video because their logo showed up for half a second?
Did they really?
Yep.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that was even a thing.
Yep, it is. Fuck Nintendo. I'm not going to ever play a first-party Nintendo game. Yep. And seeing as that's a lot of like handheld stuff, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, it's rough. Nintendo's really problematic and shitty about everything. It makes me not want to deal with any of their stuff very much. But also on the handheld topic, besides the hardware thing, it kind of sucks to sit there and hold a handheld and stare at it for like hours at a time.
Yeah.
It's not a good way to play video games. I really wish there weren't exclusives.
I'm okay with it with like a Wii U gamepad because it's huge. I wish it fit my hands a bit better, but...
You also rarely have to stare at the Wii U gamepad for the entirety of gaming sessions.
It's true. Well, for Monster Hunter and Xenoblade, I'll actually carry my gamepad up to my room and like play it in the other end of the house, which feels really good for like a console game because it's gorgeous. Let's see.
Have you ever tried Hero Siege? We've actually tried Hero Siege before, but its online netcode is so bad that every other time we did anything or touched walls or stuff, like 3 people in the lobby's games would crash. So it's not very well put together. I tried doing it then offline with Andrew, which is a decent little local experience, but then we just lost all the footage to it. So twice burned, no more Hero Siege probably.
I'll probably give it a shot in like a couple months again. but we got a lot of other things that I'd rather do.
There's definitely times where if something goes wrong enough times with the game, you just start doing something else inevitably when you're Let's Playing.
Yep.
And it just kind of goes away forever.
I don't know if you heard, but 2 weeks ago finally killed Gmod permanently.
What happened that?
StarCraft 2.
StarCraft 2, you said?
You remember your issues with StarCraft 2?
Oh, you just suddenly, it stopped working for you all of a sudden?
I would join a server for 5 minutes, game would crash. I would start a server, game would crash. And now whenever I open it up, game crashes. All right.
Yeah, technical problems are really weird to try to diagnose sometimes. For those who don't know, that a while ago we tried to do a StarCraft 2 session, and everyone else was running it fine. When I would try to launch the game, my entire computer would immediately rocket to 100% processing usage, and would just sit there and not do anything for like 10 minutes, then finally load the lobby, and it would either crash or I could try to join. And after like half an hour, I was able to successfully join a game, at which point the game run like fucking butter because it's from 2010. But whenever I was in a lobby, it was suddenly like the most impossible to run thing ever when it's just a blank space background and some menus. It's like, sometimes you just don't know what's going wrong.
Yeah. Okay, next question. What was your intro to gaming? PC, consoles, handhelds?
Definitely
and
consoles.
Then the first game you got into. Consoles for you? It was PC for me.
I think it was Duck
Red
Hunt.
Alert and Mega Man X at the same time. I bought them on the same day and played the shit out of both.
Did Red Alert and Mega Man?
Yep.
Mega Man was on PC?
Yeah. Mega Man X and Mega Man X4 at the very least.
Wait, that's how you started gaming?
Yeah.
Well, okay. So that's relatively late then, huh?
I was 3.
Wait.
X4 I got later.
I must have no idea how old these games are.
Mega Man X is ancient.
Okay. For some reason I thought it was newer than it was. I guess it was a Super Nintendo game, huh?
Oh, you know what? I might have been like 5, sorry.
I think I played X on a PlayStation 1, so I thought it was... And back then I thought it was on the PlayStation 1. But
Mega Man
it is
X
a Super
came out
Nintendo game.
1993 in Japan. It doesn't say when it came out in the US.
So I don't have super specific memory, but at some point my parents came home with a Nintendo Entertainment System with the Duck Hunt Mario combination cartridge and Ninja Gaiden. I played a lot of Ninja Gaiden as a kid. And I don't think we made it very far in it because it's Ninja Gaiden, but back then I don't think I had a concept of making it far in games anyway.
Yeah. I played through the entirety of the Red Alert campaign before I could even read, which was actually kind of hard. Sort of.
Before you
lose
read.
a lot of backstory.
Wow.
Yeah. Same thing with Mega Man, actually.
Conceptualize, honestly.
Yeah. I think before that I had played stuff like Dig Dug, because my dad had a computer with a ton of, like, freeware, shareware games. Because my dad never bought games. Like, my parents are famously stingy to the point where, like, it unnerves Shell. So, except for Red Alert and Mega Man, those are the only games I bought between the ages of, like, 3 and 8 years old. And it wasn't until I got a Game Boy that we actually started buying games properly. Because you can't freeware, shareware Game Boy stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So,
your parents encouraged piracy from a young age.
Well, it was like demos. So we had like Commander Keen, but it was only the first like half of the game.
And you honestly can't tell as a kid for a while.
Yeah, I couldn't. I didn't give a shit because there was one hard level and it terrified me because there's this like magma creature that would jump at you, and I just never played it again.
I had the demo for Alone in the Dark, and it took me a long time to actually learn it was a demo of Alone in the Dark. But what was your first online game? To expand on that, Wander.
Probably Halo Combat Evolved.
I genuinely was worried that you disappeared or something. So you waited all the way until Halo came out on PC?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that had online. They added a flamethrower.
No. Sorry, my bad. I totally forgot. StarCraft. So much StarCraft.
We started in the same territory then. My first online game was Age of Empires 2: The Age of Kings. And
I had no idea how to get the online multiplayer working.
Yeah, I tried playing it without understanding what usernames and passwords even were yet. So I don't know what my password was, but my password was whatever my username was supposed to be, and my username was E5G3 because that was what I was trying to set the password to be. So I had this impossible username that was dumb. But I played for like 5 minutes, and I made it to like the Stone Age, or I think you start at the Dark Age and you go to the Stone Age from there, and then like the Steel Age and then the Imperial Age. In the time it took me to get to the Stone Age, I got attacked by someone who had, it might have been Copper or whatever. I got attacked by someone who had like a fleet of like 30 Cavaliers you can only build in the Imperial Age, and I got my first taste of micro at the age of like 9, and did not understand what happened, and just never played again online.
Yep. Yeah, my friends and I all started playing Diablo and StarCraft together, more or less at the exact same time. I think I got StarCraft first. And, like, I would run down the street to coordinate with my friends, because this is, like, back in the days of dial-up. I would sprint down the street to tell them what my game name was and what the password was, so they could join me. And we could play, like, Evolves and DBZ Arena and stuff like that.
So was it Diablo 1?
Well, this was StarCraft.
Oh, right.
I never actually got Diablo. Well, no, I did get Diablo online multiplayer to work, but I never played that with anybody. I played by myself. Find servers where people were hacking and I just run around stealing all their like duped items.
Oh God. I played.
I was like 9.
I didn't experience the modding custom game thing until Warcraft 3, I think, which we went back to already.
That was a pretty good time.
Yeah, it was pretty fantastic.
You should see if you can get StarCraft 2 working, because I really enjoyed that night.
I mean, Warcraft did make 2 genres.
Yeah,
out of that one, the mods for that one game gave us tower defense games and MOBAs.
Pretty much.
But
I mean, I'd say tower defense spawned from StarCraft more than Warcraft. But yeah, semantics.
Definitely, my first game I was addicted to as a kid, though, was as the online ones was Diablo 2: Lord of Destruction.
Yep,
and that was the game where I was so hooked to it I had a brother that also played games, and he's got hooked to that kind of stuff too. So we'd have to fight over the one internet connection on the one computer.
Ooh.
And so we were always... Our mom, who didn't understand the game very well, would just ration time. Like, you do 15 minutes, then you do 15 minutes, which is not how Diablo works. So that was a bad plan. But it got to the point where I would secretly sneak down to the bottom floor of the house, and I would try to smother the computer with a pillow while I turn on the dial-up, so I could play it at night when no one's around. So I could try to mute the sound of the internet losing its goddamn mind every time you turn it on, which I only found out recently most people, or a lot of people, could actually type something in and make that never happen again. But that blew my mind.
Yeah, I didn't have to share with my brother. My brother didn't really have a personality until like late middle school. So
that's okay.
Like, compared to what my brother is now, you know,
was he
well on his way to... No, he was just like, you know, your generic like shy kid that doesn't talk much or do much. He would just sit around reading D&D books.
Oh.
And like...
That explains some things.
Yeah.
Because of the D&D campaign you're doing right now.
Oh, yeah. And I was like much more of an alpha personality. I don't think I've changed that much personality-wise since.
I mean, I was always a shy kid, but me and my brother would scream at each other.
No?
There was no being reserved around each other.
Let's see. See, what's the next one? Oh, yeah, where did we get the idea for our logos?
Our logos?
Yeah. I mean,
I met
Keith.
Them.
Yeah, I knew what Keith looked like, so I drew a picture of Keith.
We were playing Battleblock Theater, so he made me a face in the style of the weird little neutral, adorable expressions that all the creatures in that have. So I originally had like a black and white icon head, and then I was like, hey, when it was time to make a banner that was better than the one I had before, I just commissioned Wander to make one that was like that dumb, bland head on top of like a detailed like Demon Souls armor in the
I'm
really
Dark Souls setting. That, honestly,
it's so great.
Yeah, that's probably one of my better like pictures I've ever done.
And you've got your robot character because you actually had like a Persona mascot character you designed for your channel.
Yeah, I think I went... I think I designed that because I needed something for... a thumbnail for... oh, what was it? Dust Force. Which I did like 4 episodes on, and I'm like, I need a thumbnail, but like all the official art is terrible. So I just drew it, and then I realized like, this doesn't even make sense, so I'm going to make another one. And then by Tower of Guns, the design was a lot more concrete, and it's changed wildly since.
Oh yeah. There's definitely been shifts in your design. I remember your old thumbnails.
Yeah.
I remember your Sleeping Dogs and Psychonauts thumbnails where you had a circle in the middle of the screen and then a little circle for the number.
Yeah. Yeah, those were awful.
And you went through like multiple thumbnails over the course of making your... that bland RPG I forgot the name of that you did 100 episodes on.
Oh, Amalur.
Amalur.
I just had 2. Eventually I painted like a really nice landscape.
We got game questions. Have you ever played Boogerman?
Nope.
Nope.
Don't even know.
I know he's got a big chin. That's about it. Will you ever play Fallout 1 and 2? Maybe? Are you in the same camp of maybe? I think that's the best answer I can give, is that...
Yeah. Well, the problem is we have to stay relevant to... like, we can't just play whatever we want. I'd love to.
I always have a goal of having, like, one series that's some weird, like, backlog thing, but... even just within the stuff I've played already, like I played Dragon Age Inquisition, so immediately I'm like, okay, I really got to play Dragon Age 1 and 2 at some point, right? And then Witcher 3, I'm like, I got to play Witcher 1 and 2 at some point, right? I'm like, how long will that take alone? So then let's go play Fallout 1 and 2 and Tactics and 3 and New Vegas and 4.
Like, if you look at the games that are currently airing on my channel, except for the roguelikes, Divinity Original Sin, I would say, kind of counts within this. But most of the games that I cover have come out within the past 2 months, generally started week of release. Like, you really do need to stay relevant to, like, grow on YouTube.
More or less.
I haven't had, like, a Holy Potatoes weapon shop in a long time, so...
Or you have like, my weird situation of just being the only person who covered some old game.
Yeah.
So I was like the only person who played Shadow Tower. And then suddenly a lot of people came... I mean, Shadow Tower. Then suddenly a whole bunch of people just started showing up for Shadow Tower. And I was the only person providing videos. But that was a weird coincidence.
Because, like, right now I'm airing all of my, like, Dark Souls 2 co-op footage... and it gets really bad views comparative, like, to what would have happened if I put it up, like, 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
But...
like, it's like the Patreon series. Like, we both have a thing where people can kind of pick a series on our Patreons. And at this point, I'm on my 4th show. And this one's a bit of an exception because it's Undertale, which is kind of current. And there's some demand for people, like, bitching that I haven't played it yet, basically. But other stuff like Far Cry 4, it's like, this is something that was, like... literally chosen by votes. It's a popular vote, but did I say Fallout or Far Cry? Far Cry 4. It's chosen by popular vote, and then it airs, and no one's really watching it. Because, it's not brand new. And that's unfortunately how YouTube kind of works. But we both still try to play what we want here and there.
Yeah. Collabs and, like... really, it's collabs are kind of where I do that as much as I can. Like, I will... still do videos on like Armello or Dark Souls or eventually Monster Hunter. I'm just gonna keep saying Monster Hunter until it happens.
Until it happens. Right after we finish Divinity, we're so close.
I know. We're halfway done.
I've got to railroad you into only doing one RPG with me at a time because we had mistakes before of trying to start multiple at a time and juggling them all at the same time, and then it just means none of them go anywhere. We have
to just do 2-man things.
It's just a matter of how much time we have.
Not a consistent series. Yeah, it's true.
It's like I can meet with you like once a week to do Divinity right now, while also doing my channel and also having a job. But any more than that's pretty rough.
Let's see. Will we ever do MOBAs? I mean, I played Paladins earlier, but I didn't enjoy the experience too much.
I don't play MOBAs on my channel for the same reason why I generally don't play any kind of popular roguelike, which is that anyone who's going to watch videos of that is way more invested in the game than I am, so they're just going to be furious with the fact that I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
No one's really looking up, like, some noob starts playing MOBA, or just like how everyone was mad when I tried doing a video of, like, Hearthstone once. Because, like, I don't play it every day forever, so everyone's furious with me. And because we're busy, we can't invest 400 hours just out of nowhere to suddenly be good at the game to start making videos.
There was a point over the summer where a ton of people were like, Hearthstone, 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 Hearthstone. And then I did, like, one match, and my view count went from 40-something to 10.
It's the cringe factor.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't like fringe factor. Like, people that had been requesting it were like, this is boring. You don't have good cards. And I'm like, I said I don't play this game.
It's totally the thing of, like, what did you expect?
Yeah.
It's like when someone asked, it's like when that person I mentioned before asked me to play some obscure racing game called, like, Assetto Cornetta or something like that, and it's
one of the, like, really high...
what do you think is going to happen?
I'm going to run into a wall for, like...
It's going to be one of those videos where someone immediately turns around and flips on me and betrays me the moment they see me actually playing the game.
I hate that in games.
That's what happens if I play League of Legends. I played League of Legends a couple weeks ago. Guess what? I still suck at League of Legends.
I enjoy playing League of Legends against bots. Because that way there's almost no pressure. Except for the 3v3 map. The bots are weirdly good there. And usually I'm playing with my dad or Shell, and neither are very good at MOBAs. So it's like a 2v3 with a feeder, and then it's just sad.
I just like to pretend that I'm Gambit, because there's that Twisted Fate card character.
Oh, yeah.
So I think I've never played as anyone else.
I play as Iron Man, because Iron Man.
Yeah.
Okay, got another one. Why did you start YouTube? What do you use to record, and are you ever planning to go full-time on YouTube?
Yes. That's the fantasy, right?
I mean, yeah.
So how did you start on YouTube, Wander?
I was extremely depressed drawing SpongeBob every day, watching Game Grumps, and I was like, you know what? They seem like they're having fun. I'm going to have fun.
It's an inspiring origin story.
Yeah. And now my entire office possibly knows that I hated working there.
Probably.
Because I covered one of their games for like 10, 20 episodes, and they found out halfway through.
I mean, a lot of people hate most of their jobs, I think.
Yeah.
So I think it's just safe to assume that when you're working somewhere, you're surrounded by people who hate being there. It's probably a safe outlook to take. I started YouTube. I was taking college courses at the time, and I was just patrolling. I was just going around. What patrolling? What am I talking about? I was going around campus, and there would always be those people on the side of the table, like those people would like set up card tables to like try to talk to you about like Jesus, and there was like big like those like science fair signs people have with the fold up cardboard, and they'd be like showing pictures of like aborted fetuses and stuff like that, like just on campus to try to sway the political views of random people they don't know. And I just had this weird idea of like, what if I had a weird show where you would just talk to somebody and take their opinion seriously and just let them fully explain their point of view, and that was like, it'd be almost like a weird like almost documentary thing. And this led to the idea of doing a sort of like a political debate show with some friends. So I got together with like a bunch of people on Facebook with like, that's Max, that's where I got Andrew and so on, and we just got together to try to do this thing, but it ended up just devolving immediately to a podcast about nonsense, because that's what happens when you get 5 people together and no plan and put them in front of a camera. And a few people were disappointed that there was no organization, and it never really came together again, but that was the channel Sit and Discuss. And then at some point where Andrew was, he played Amnesia: The Dark Descent, and did a review where he said, play Amnesia, get insomnia, was his review of the game. And they have all these stories about how the game freaked him out so bad, and that CeeLo kept messing with him while he was playing it. So I was like, what if we just recorded you playing that? Wouldn't that be like a funny thing? And that's how Sad Games happened, which I didn't realize till afterwards when I made Sit Discuss into the acronym that it just spelled sad. And now we're here, more or less.
Do you ever go on like Facebook and see people like trying to get into YouTubing and streaming?
Oh yeah,
like
absolutely.
Any of your friends?
They fall flat on their face. Every time.
I had a friend that was like rabidly trying to get people from their Facebook feed to watch them on Twitch, and I went once, and they were silent with a webcam. Letterbox too, because they were using a Mac, and Macs don't do 16:9 for some bizarre ass reason.
Oh no!
And it was bad.
My friend Max used to stream every night for like weeks. I even made him custom streaming interface for Hearthstone and stuff. But he thought that all that was involved in streaming and growing your channel was to be consistent, basically, and just do it all the time. So he just did it all the time. But he was just sitting there smoking a hookah pipe and like playing Hearthstone while a camera stared at his blank face, and that's all that it was. And at some point, he and my brother had this ambitious idea to do a like Heart of the Storm? No, Heroes of the Storm centric channel where they'd have two things, like there'd be a streaming channel and there'd be like a super intense like guides about individual strategies and characters thing. They made it one video in, and then the entire thing fell apart.
Yep.
Like that's how it goes every time.
I had another friend who would be like the poster girl for boob cam, and she was it just evolved into her just taking selfies with her webcam, being like, do you think this is a good angle? Do you think this is a good angle? And she asked me for like a ton of advice, and I'm like, all right, I guess here you go. And then a little while later, I posted that, here's my channel with 10,000 subs. And she's like, we should do a collab at some point. I'm like,
that's how it goes every time, right?
Yeah.
Like, at our sizes, that's all we get, is we get inbox messages from people spamming us to join their fraudulent networks that take our money and don't give us anything in return, and ask us to do collaborations with them, even though we don't know them at all. And if you look at your channel, which... Here's a pro tip for people that want to collaborate with people. Your channel is your resume. So if it looks like shit and you have 17 unfinished games on your first page, we probably don't want to play with you. But also, but most importantly, we don't fucking know you. That's such a big part, is you don't just randomly start collaborating with people that show up in your inboxes if they're the only person that's ever done that. It's just anonymous people, and you're doing a show that people watch for entertainment. It's just a bad plan.
Yeah. I actually don't get a whole lot of collab requests anymore, which I'm kind of okay with.
Do you think you've hit do you think 5 digits makes you unapproachable?
Yeah, actually.
Could be. They could just be afraid of you now.
I do get requests from other YouTubers that are reasonable sizes, but their like suggested collab times are when I'm asleep, because they're all European.
Oh. That's a problem.
And I feel really bad about it, but I'm like, I'm not going to wake up like 4 hours early just to do a collab.
No.
Because I'm going to be useless. Because I sneeze until the sun goes down. Like, I don't know what it is, but...
Because you haven't found a drug that works, right?
Yeah, never. But I have like really bad allergies until it gets dark, and then it's all gone. And I have no idea why.
That is weird, yeah. I just get... really basic allergy medicine, the 24-hour pills, and those get me through the entire season whenever that starts happening. And then I'm set. Bummer picking them up all the time, though. But I think that's the, on the earlier topic of, like, starting up Let's Play channels, that's basically the cycle you watch if you just see anyone on r/Let's Play ever. It's basically people... really, really, really heavily over-plan and over-analyze how to start Let's Playing, and then they do it for like a week and quit. And it's like, really the important thing is just to try to do it and then not quit immediately. Like, that's 90% of the work of starting your channel. You can figure out all the mistakes you're making afterwards, I think. Like, I did a... Did you know about that time I did a Q&A where I actually just brought 2 people that were asking about how to start a channel on and just did a Q&A with them live? Like, one of them is actually one of my top supporters on Patreon, but also, like, he's done a daily video for, like, months now.
Good.
Like, he's really active. The other guy never made a video. Like, even there, like, even when you get to the point of, like, being on a podcast about how to start a Let's Play channel, there's no guarantee that person will even make a video. Like, just making anything is, like, 90% of the effort. So like step 1 is make stuff. Step 2 is then figure out how much you screwed up when you made that first stuff and try to improve that.
Yeah. Well, starting and continuing with anything is hard. I keep wanting to make a game, but I'm already doing effectively, like, more or less a very intense creative long-term project, and doing 2 of those at the same time would kill me. No matter how much I'd want to do multiple of them, but like even doing one is almost impossible.
Like you doing this makes your artwork suffer.
Yes. Oh, drastically. I did my Undertale thumbnail a couple days ago, and it felt really good because I haven't done a whole lot of artwork lately. But like, somewhere over the course of the last year, more or less, when I realized I was actually growing really fast, I realized I'm more likely to do well as a professional YouTuber than get a job as like an actually well-paid and happy artist. So
I got a question from Yet 111111111. Do you know about the deep web? Do you know about that?
I know about it.
Is this dark territory? Is this the weird part of the internet we're talking about?
Well, this is the part of the stuff that we don't want to touch with like a mile-long pole. Yeah.
Oh, is it banned sites like stuff that doesn't come up in search results because it's all illegal stuff?
Generally, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was the weird part of the internet. That's less fun.
No. Yeah, deep web.
I
is
love
like
the weird part of the internet. It scars your brain.
Yeah, like
you see things eating and fucking things that shouldn't be eating and fucking things.
Yeah, but that like if you search for that, that'll show up. That is not deep web.
No, yeah. I thought we were just talking about the more interesting part of how weird things get. Like TLE's friend that makes that art that we talked about on WoW.
Yeah.
Better yet, question from Shadow Scythe. Question for both of you. Is there a game that has made you put down your controller and walk away from your keyboard and mouse in frustration or anger?
I've actually got a question for you. How far have you gotten in Mushroom 11?
I've never played it.
Oh, so that was not a Patreon video that you had to do.
No, the winner was Undertale.
Oh. Okay, well,
it was in first place for a little while there, and I wasn't very happy about it, but it got crushed ultimately. It got crushed, even though you probably put it on there, Shadow Scythe, I think. You little fuck. Last game that made me walk away from the computer, the console in anger was Bloodborne, actually. Several times during the last DLC. There's 2 very hard boss fights in that thing, and I just had to like leave and come back later over and over again.
I want to play Bloodborne, but at the same time, I don't want to.
You don't want to do it to yourself.
Like, I like that kind of gameplay, but I really, really like not getting stuck on something for hours on end.
Every Dark Souls game has done that to me, except Demon Souls. Maybe that's why I like it so much.
I actually, yeah. Now that I've mastered the Smelter Demon, the rest of Dark Souls has actually gotten really easy for me.
Oh yeah.
Ancient Dragon made us rage quit, and then we came back and I aced it on the first fight.
Do you know the trick for that fight?
Run towards the tail?
Well, that's for escaping the fireball. But with the just for the fight in general, if you keep running up to his feet and standing between his toes, that'll bait him to keep stomping at you over and over again. So you run up to his foot, so he tries to stomp on you, and you just run to his other foot while he's stomping over there, and you can just keep poking each of his feet alternating.
It didn't work.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work in co-op.
Yeah,
I don't know what his AI will do in that situation.
Bird died, so I started trying to do it, and then he breathed fire on his grundle, and then died.
Last year that was a case of me utterly giving up on a fight for like a day or so, because in vanilla Dark Souls 2, which I think you played also originally, did you beat it?
Yeah. No, well, I beat vanilla Dark Souls 2. I didn't beat the DLC.
Yeah, but so you already know about the fact that area made you fight all the way through it, or run all the way through it. So, like, on top of it being a really tough boss fight that could kill you in one hit with basically anything, you had to go through one of the most difficult areas in the entire game.
Yep.
So, like, out of frustration, I kept finding, like, paths to try to run through it all and escape it all. And, like, one of the biggest fuck-ups was that there was a door that was closed halfway through and you had to open it, and the slow door animation, you can't speed up at all. But at one point I gave up and summoned 2 people, and we went through the portal. They both got shot by the initial fireball and died. I'm like, I can't deal with this. I eventually beat the ancient dragon by farming everyone to death.
Yeah, that's what we did.
And then
actually,
just doing runs on the boss. Like
there were no enemy. There were none of those big knights left by the time we killed them on both sides, and the other guys were neutral to us.
Scholar
though, were the little dragon knights were actually like violent, weren't they?
Everyone in the entire place attacked you in the original game, but in Scholar they just kind of hang out and watch, and you basically just you have to fight those giants, and if you run past the giants, they attack you because you're dishonorable.
We ran into a really weird bug where if birds summoned me after I killed the ancient dragon, they'd all get pissed and come running from anywhere on the level.
Fun.
Yeah. So at one point,
it's like you got gravelorded.
Yeah. At one point, we tried summoning me right next to the boss portal. They bottlenecked us.
That would be bad.
It was really bad. It was hilarious, and that's when we stopped.
So did you guys eventually took him down though? Right? You said you started him. You got him the next session immediately, right?
Getting Bird to survive that fight was the challenge. Because I got really good at it. So the final time we fought it, I fought the dragon. Bird stood at a distance, and we won. Like
just at the very rim of the entire Dragon Ball Z platform.
It's really easy to stay away from it if you're on the opposite end. Or like a reasonable distance away, the dragon will not hit you, and you can just kind of watch and/or shoot arrows if you had a bow.
When you were on that platform, did you find yourself looking for Kami? Like it's the exact place, right?
Mr. Poco.
Yeah, like it is totally that giant, weird disc of tiles. I'm like, this is a place in Dragon Ball Z. It's weirding me out.
Jumping off that platform is really fun, by the way, because you hit stuff on the way down, and it looks really cool. I want to go back there and leap off at some point because it's enjoyable.
I recently found out a weird, like really specific, like the specific numbers between those dragons on the way there. Because in Dragon Shrine, or is it called Shrine? The place that has all the dragons in it before the boss. Apparently there's like specific numbers where if you break 3 eggs, that all the dragons start doing flying attacks instead of staying on the ground, and if you break 10 eggs, they destroy the bridge when you're crossing it. It's like there's actually there's specific values for those.
Yeah, Bird ran into that, which was amusing. Guess moving away from Dark Souls, do either of us have a sweet spot we want to hit with our channels?
A sweet spot?
Between 100,000, less than 1 million.
No, I'll take them all.
Probably. Yeah, sort of.
I will take literally all the money. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Like I just see it can only make your life easier.
No, it's true. I just see a lot of like really large YouTubers get like shoot up really fast and then burn because their genre dies, or you know whatever made them famous is gone.
Oh yeah,
like Call of Duty.
Thankfully,
channels.
RPGs ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, RPGs, roguelikes, and indie games are pretty safe bets. But there's a guy, Woody's Gamer Tag. He used to be one of the biggest YouTubers out there, and now he gets maybe 10 times the views that I do, tops.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Although, did he shrink, or did everyone else get way bigger?
He shrunk.
Okay.
Like, he's over 1 million now.
I was going to say, like, old days big would, like, not even be comparable to nowadays big, for example.
Yeah. But, like, his views proportionally are really bad for, like, his sub count. In fact, like, sometimes I think, I wonder if I would actually be slightly better off from, like, a view ratio if I hadn't done Holy Potatoes Weapon Shop. But that's
because you got a huge spike of subscribers for something that doesn't represent your normal content?
Yeah, because I don't do a whole lot of Tycoon games because there's only so many of them. Like, I tried Programmer Manager.
The same if you play them back to back?
Sort of. Like, there are some really good ones. Like Empire TV Tycoon, Holy Potatoes Weapon Shop, Game Dev Tycoon. Those are all, like, wildly different titles, and they're really fun to play. But they only come out once every couple of months, and it's just like...
Yeah. I mean, that's the contrast between my channel and Sad Games, for example, is 2 of the most popular shows ever on my channel are basically, like, Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin and, like, Wasteland, which are pretty representative of what I do. But on sad games, our most popular stuff was a Saints Row the Third character creator video, a bunch of videos for Artemis, a spaceship building simulator, a spaceship bridge simulator, and fucking Tokyo Jungle, which are just like we especially the Artemis and Tokyo Jungle we enjoyed making those, but man, those don't exactly help us get more views when we're doing like our let's make fun of another Sonic game series, which is like a lot of what we would do on that channel. Like sometimes something completely unrelated to what you normally do can take off, which is great for technically getting you more exposure, but it gives you a false sense of how much growth you're getting because a lot of them won't care about what you're making.
Yeah.
You got to avoid that diversity, but you also got to keep that diversity. You just got to figure out exactly the sweet spot of not getting too much diversity, or you're in trouble.
Yeah, got to either diversify or hope to tell your voice is amazing. I mean, you don't even need to have a good voice. You just need to be worth listening to for some reason.
90% of having a great voice is having good audio equipment and editing.
Yeah.
Because people, like, on sad games, people said that my voice was awful and annoying, and on my channel, people say that my voice is sexy. And I don't know how, like... I got a different microphone, and I compress my audio, and I level it properly. And
if you ever get the chance, you should actually try upgrading even further past the Snowball.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, the audio difference between the Snowball and the Yeti is amazing. And when I made the upgrade, I felt so much better about my commentary, because I sound better. But yeah, a lot of people, skimp on the microphone. I had some guy arguing with me that a $10 Logitech microphone was just as good as my Yeti.
People use headset microphones. Like,
I mean, sometimes
their
it
Turtle
works,
Beach thing they picked up for Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I once saw someone Let's Playing with a throat microphone. I don't know what they were expecting.
Yeah.
It's like, are you trying to, like, Let's Play as, like, a smoking, like, surgery victim?
I don't know.
We're gonna have someone Let's Playing through the hole in their throat. Kalaye? Is there a he says non-console RPG, but he says, is there a non-console RPG game you'd recommend playing except for D&D and Shadowrun?
Witcher 3? Dragon Age Inquisition.
Witcher 3, Dragon Age Inquisition, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin. Legend of Grimrock 2. Legend of Grimrock 2. Legend of Grimrock 2.
Chroma Squad.
Oh, does that count?
Sure.
Kind of counts, yeah.
Yeah, it's a tactical RPG. I'd put it in the same vein as... I guess it's closer to XCOM, but it's got some RPG mechanics because you're kitting your characters out with progressive equipment, choosing abilities, putting points places.
Pillars of Eternity.
It's also just really good. Yeah. Oh, Pillars of Eternity is good. Divinity Original Sin.
Right, Divinity.
Like, and playing Divinity Original Sin makes...
You didn't like that one?
Commander's... well, it's not an RPG. It's,
it's not?
It's an RTS.
Oh.
Yeah, it's an RTS. Yeah.
Never mind.
It's got a fantastic dialogue thing in terms of, like, just talking to the characters. It feels really good, even though your choices are bland and uninteresting. It still feels good.
I heard it was part strategy combat game, part kingdom kingdom ruling simulator, and part dating sim.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is kind of that's great.
Yeah. I loved it, except for the moment I got into the gameplay, and then I hated it, and we tried playing it, and I actually deleted all of my, like, backlog footage for that, because I know I never had any interest in finishing the series.
Oh, yeah.
It
happens.
Eventually, like, it becomes viable to auto-calculate battles, and then it becomes better to auto-calculate battles, because the RTS section is just so bad, it's not even worthwhile. But the talking to people stuff felt really good, even if...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard really weird things about the arcs you can take in that game. Like, almost like Undertale levels of weird.
Yeah. For some, and for not, well, yeah. I mean, there's the elf chick that you can have like just sleep around with your entire crew, and it gives you massive morale bonuses.
Interesting. Go
or
on.
the undead chick who has this like weird degenerative disease that is going to kill her, even if whatever. But you can like spend a lot of money and resources to cure her, but this turns her into like a human, sort of. She's kind of like she's a succubus. Succubus? I don't even know how to... I've never actually heard that said, so I have no
succubus?
idea.
Yeah, that's normal.
Yeah. Okay.
Or succubi.
But you turn her into that,
in
and
plural.
her entire family just like turns on you because you ruined her.
Whoops.
By saving her life and turning her into a fleshy being, which is hilarious. And the lizard chick's like a lawyer. She's really boring.
They're asking about audio editing stuff.
I don't do any audio editing. I just use Premiere and or Sony Vegas, depending.
I would say the most important stuff about audio editing comes down to having a proper quality recording to begin with.
Yeah.
It generally involves turning down the volume on the microphone or getting yourself the right distance from the microphone. You don't want to be like touching it and up close to it, because then every noise you make is going to clip your audio and you can't fix that in editing. But you can't be too far away because you sound distant and echoey and bad. Like if you watched our old Dark Souls co-op stuff, we found out at some point that I think it was either Radian or Spider was using the same microphone as me but sounded terrible. And we even found out eventually that TLE was using the same microphone as me but sounded terrible, because neither of them were the right distance from the microphone. You want to be about hand length from a lot of the microphones.
Yeah. It also depends on the microphone. Like my Yeti, I can be like, right now I'm a good foot away from my microphone, and I can be like 2-3 feet and I'll still sound good, maybe a little bit distant, but the audio quality is still fine. But I mean, obviously the higher grade you get, the better you're going to get.
Yeah, look up the difference between dynamic and the other condenser microphones, and you'll learn about what the right distance is to be. But the biggest thing is getting a decent quality recording that doesn't have background noise and doesn't clip, because if it's too quiet, you can easily normalize it and stuff like that to get the audio back up. But if it's too loud and clipping and distorting, you can do nothing to save that for the most part. But then from there, you could do stuff like getting the right audio level and balancing it against the game, or compressing and stuff like that.
Yeah. I actually make fun of myself for saying I live in a basement, but like my room has one window that I've currently got boarded up with insulation foam, one door, and is nowhere near the rest like of anywhere else where people would be. So I have like the perfect isolated environment for YouTubing. It's really nice. And I don't have to do audio editing as a result. Yeah.
When I got my new computer, I specifically went for things that would make it quieter.
Yeah.
Because my system noises were going to be becoming the problem. Right now, the biggest source of noise I get is when I'm playing a PS4 game.
Yeah.
Certain games will make the fan lose its goddamn mind.
Destiny bothers me because I can hear the disc spinning. And it's the loudest noise I ever have to deal with, and it's just like...
That's not how consoles work, actually, anymore. The Xbox One and PS4 only check the disc to authenticate to launch the game. It's all running off the hard drive, so you're just getting the fan noise and stuff like that, and hard drive noise.
But it doesn't make the same noise when I'm playing Bloodborne, which I downloaded.
Oh yeah, it's totally inconsistent.
Disgaea. That's weird, because it's only Destiny.
Like the two big ones for me were Until Dawn would make my fan freak out. And if I was playing Assassin's Creed Unity, if I ever paused the game and left it paused, the fan would freak out.
Weird.
Certain games' pause menus make the game freak out. Like it's almost as if the game's trying to run at 500 frames per second or something and over processing. I don't know, but like stuff just freaks it out.
Let's see. In chat, Sniper's been really patient about this one. Tabletop RPGs or tabletop games in general. Do you play much?
I played like 2.5 campaigns of Dungeons & Dragons 3.5, one session of Shadowrun, and like half a campaign of Vampire the Masquerade for tabletop RPGs. And tabletop games, I actually would go like midway through Geology, we're like, hey, we're having a summer break here. We need to start hanging out with each other when we're off school and everything. So we would actually meet every single week to do tabletop games, and that led to actually the house I currently live in. We eventually met this person and started playing games here, and he has a massive tabletop collection, and I ended up moving into this house when I got my job. So nice. Yes, tabletop. Lots of, especially I'm especially a fan of I'd say one of my favorite tabletop games are actually games where that it lead to people deceiving and arguing with each other in many cases, or games that are really heavy on points. So basically, Resistance and Carcassonne.
Have
you ever played Resistance?
See if there's a good. I've never played Resistance.
No.
I played a little bit of Carcassonne. Problem is, the only person I know that I live near at this point is Crafty Gnomes, and that's not exactly productive.
Oh yeah, trying to get a group together is awful.
Yeah.
You can just be doomed.
Yes.
I have a copy of Elder Sign I haven't played in 2 years.
Which is why I really love Space Food Truck and Armello, because they're online board games.
Absolutely.
And I can play
them. Exactly what they are.
It's so good. Even if, Space Food Truck makes us want to die by the end and Armello kills friendships, it's so much more fun because I get footage out of it. It mostly works. Yeah. And
that's the kind of thing that makes me want to have like an online Twilight Imperium.
Yeah.
You know what that one is, right? That nightmare?
Vaguely. Yeah,
it's basically Civilization in space in the form of a tabletop game you play for 8 hours.
Yep.
And it's amazing. And it is a commitment.
It'd be kind of fun to do.
It's fantastic, though. Keith, you should play RPG Maker and make a game to only discourage wander in every way possible. Willing to do that? That falls right in the same territory of like MOBAs and Hearthstone and roguelikes of like, I don't have the time. Like, just sit there and learn something for countless hours just for like a joke, basically. I don't have free time.
Yeah. Neither of us do.
Like, both of us run Let's Play channels that don't make enough money to support us financially, so we have other shit we do during the day.
I keep getting these, like, really nice spikes of growth, and then they level off really hard, and I'm like, just 20,000.
Real.
Yeah, I know. Have I hit 12.5 yet? Probably not. Really close. Cards Against Humanity is great. Cards Against Humanity is okay.
Cards Against Humanity has diminishing returns.
Yeah, it's really fun, but later. Let's see, will we do Monopoly, Xbox Live? No one owns Xboxes except for Keith.
No one likes Monopoly.
Yeah, Monopoly's really boring.
Let's start with that bullet point.
It's true.
That's the last board game we'd want to play.
So, if we ever have a group of 4 people together in one area, we are playing the shit out of Dokapon. Yeah. And then we're going to have to, like, find some way of repairing our friendship afterwards. Have you played Dokapon
I'm very
Kingdom?
Resilient to fucking with people and getting fucked with by people. I've had too much Mario Party to not be that way.
Yeah. It's just, imagine if Mario Party took, like, 20 hours to complete.
Yeah.
And you could just utterly fuck someone over for the next, like, 3 hours worth of gameplay. And they could never recover from it, potentially.
That's kind of Twilight Imperium, actually.
Yeah.
Although that game's not random in the way that I think Dokapon might be in some ways.
Dokapon is kind of random, but effectively my brother was this, like, really overpowered mage, and anytime I'd set foot outside, he would just nuke me from orbit, killing me instantly with these spells that he had been collecting, because he found a really good place to get them. So I eventually hid in a cave with a casino and sat there gambling for 7 hours straight, more or less of gameplay, while reading books. Because all I had to do was just keep mashing the A button, because it just more or less kept gambling whenever it was my turn.
Whoops.
And then the end of the game rolls by, and I've just amassed such a huge fortune that nobody had a chance against my just, like, madcap gambling funds. My brother was
always
kind of
a joy to play
that.
multiplayer games with.
I mean, I couldn't do anything else, but it was fun for the... So there's a secret class that you can only get from gambling, and I never got it. And I was just so doggedly trying to get it because it was good, and I never did. And it hurt. So I ended up winning the game because of it. I don't know. That game is really fun, though.
On the Cards Against Humanity topic, because I'm staring at it in chat still, they're talking about it being an enabler for fun and stuff. I think the biggest thing that kills the humor in that game is if you ever play with more than a really small number of people, is that you just have one person reading a question and then like 6 answers to that question, and there's no flow to it, there's no delivery to it, and it's just kind of awkward and checklisty at some point.
I'd rather play... Oh, what is it? What's the one that you have from the Jackbox people that's really good? Quiplash. Yeah.
Okay, Quiplash and Drawful are fantastic.
Yeah, as long as we don't play them at 5 a.m. and our senses of humor are broken. That was miserable. I would love to do that again.
See, what is your favorite D&D setting?
I've never actually played in a specific setting.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I don't think I know D&D settings.
I know really. Forgotten Realms and Eberron have never messed with any of the other ones, except for, I guess there was sort of a generic D&D setting for a while, but it was kind of meaningless.
I think I know the fact that there's a game. I know there's Forgotten Realms games, I think by BioWare or something.
Yeah, so
that's all I know about it, is that it's been a name before.
Forgotten Realms is a specific world, so like the Baldur's Gate games takes place within the Forgotten Realms.
Yeah.
Same with Neverwinter. And that's kind of their like official setting with like very specific lore and cities and gods and stuff.
Yeah, my issue is I don't think I've played very much of any of the games that take place in D&D settings, or played very much of said D&D settings themselves. The most I've done is played 3.5 itself with like I played some pre-made campaigns, but those weren't really. I don't think those were really settings. It was just a campaign within the regular D&D, where I played a kick-ass druid.
I would love to play D&D with like a YouTube group at some point, and currently I'm doing it with Bird, but the campaign is so dry that I can't imagine airing the footage would do me any good. And my brother bugs me about it because he's the DM, but it's like, I'm not even sure if I like the campaign, and therefore I'm not really sure if I'm going to put it on.
If we ever did a D&D campaign together, I think I would upload it in massive chunks, the way that Geek and Sundry does, where it's like, here's a 3-hour video.
Yeah, I would have the weekly video. We'd record on Fridays or something like that, and then it will go up on Saturday, unedited, and just, that's it.
Yeah, because that's what D&D is. You could edit it to something smaller, but you need to have, like, you basically at that point need a staff that edits video, because that is, at that point, such an archive of video to edit down to an interesting episode. It's like editing a reality television show.
Yeah.
And that'll never get done.
Yeah. It's hard to present D&D in an interesting fashion, though, from what I've found. Like, it's kind of fun to play D&D, but it's really hard to do, like, a D&D game that I'd want to show to other people.
Yeah.
I'd probably have to DM if that was the case.
I definitely wish people could have seen some of the stuff that I've done before in D&D.
Yeah,
I've had some good experiences.
True.
My druid
Will we ever dress up?
Yeah.
No.
I'm not really much of a costume person. In fact, I have an interesting take on role-playing where I don't like talking.
I hate role-playing. My current character is a misanthrope that punches people.
So you also came up with an excuse to not talk to people?
Well, originally I was going to do it. So the problem is I'm kind of a power gamer / like alpha player. Like, oftentimes I'll take control of the campaign because everybody else is useless. Yeah. But so for this one, I started doing that, and then I realized Bird and Shell are never going to be able to, like, contribute to the campaign if I do this. So I took my, like, lawful lore master style monk and turned him into a wrestling maniac that doesn't enjoy talking to people, because I realized the only time I should ever actually be doing anything major is in combat, because the 8th level cleric's idea of combat is to use his light crossbow with his 7 dexterity.
Oh, that's like a -2?
Yeah.
That's not good.
Shell doesn't have her spell list together, and Bird is a ranger specialized for dual wielding that uses a bastard sword.
Huh.
2-handed.
One of my last characters was the only half-orc in the party, and he was racist.
Yeah.
We were all together because we had no choice but to complete this mission, or I think we had basically had something along the lines of, like, battle royale exploding collars, basically, so we had to do the mission, but I hated everyone, so I wouldn't talk to them. But I love role-playing from the perspective of, like, character motivation and making decisions and stuff like that, and doing things that make sense for your character's personality. I just don't like talking as my character. It always feels weird.
Yeah, I don't like first-person role-playing. It gets really weird and crazy. We had last time I DM'd a campaign, we had one character that, like, avidly hated the entire party and refused to work with anybody. So I think it was, like, 2 sessions straight. She's like, I'm going to go this direction. I'm like, okay. And she didn't do anything for 2 sessions because she'd left the dungeon.
Wow.
I was like, well, it takes, maybe 6 hours to clear this dungeon? Probably. I mean, combat is really fast. So, unless everybody decides to nap, I guess let's just walk through here.
One of my favorite things with my old campaign always was that my DM was really good at just keeping track of weird stuff that was happening in parallel.
Yeah.
And I would just fuck with him on that topic on purpose half the time. Like, at one of our campaigns, we were in some town, like a modern town. We were doing, like, modern day D&D, so we were like...
Oh, D20 modern?
Yeah, like, we had characters and everything that all had... Like, I was playing as a monk, for example, and we had stuff like that, and like, you'd go into a sewer and there'd be skeletons and shit, but above that was like just like an actual city. But he was setting the initial stage of, like, the big crisis happening in the city that was supposed to push us all together and meet each other, and I was just walking the other way, and I was just picked a direction. I was gonna just keep walking into it until he somehow forced me to reunite to actually meet the other characters.
If I were the DM for that, I'd probably warn you that this isn't probably going to end the way you want it to. Yeah. And then you probably wouldn't do anything for the rest of the game until you showed back up.
I would just always play in character. Because, like, at some point, someone got attacked in a bar, one of the other characters, and the fight ended with him coming out the door covered in blood and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, obviously my character turns around and walks the other way, which is what happened. Like, it was his trick to try to bring us together. I'm like, I'm not walking up to that guy. He's covered in blood. And it's not his. It's horrible. Like, it led to fun situations where, like, a selfish character would run off to try to steal things and would get into a scuffle with enemies off camera that no one else knows about.
I also hate the situation where you have to, like, try and convince the players to meet up and do stuff. I just force them all to have, like, a reason why they're together to begin with. And if they don't have a good one, then I give them a really shitty background and say, you can't argue with this because I'm not dealing with...
It's hard. It's a hard part of being a DM is if you let people make a bunch of characters from scratch that have different personalities and backgrounds, then you have to figure out some excuse to have them around each other in the first place, and then all go on an adventure together and not, like, just take off.
Yep.
You basically got to watch Star Wars: A New Hope and keep track of why Han Solo doesn't leave over the course of the first 2 movies, and use those kinds of reasons.
Yeah. See,
I've got that on the brain because that's all I've been watching lately, and that's all he tries to do is leave in every scene, and something stops him. That's how you roleplay.
Let's see, what else is there? I'm actually out of questions. I think we've either answered them or they're stupid, like dogs or cats.
We've pulled people full into talking about D&D now.
Well, yeah, it happens. A lot of people like D&D a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, I do too. Like I said, if I wasn't running a D&D campaign, I'd probably try to figure something out. But it's 4 hours on Tuesday, and that's 4 hours I already can't really afford.
It's a lot of time for when you're busy doing these kind of channels.
Yeah.
If you want, I could close this off with, like, a nightmare D&D scenario of the worst role player I've ever met.
Okay.
So there's a friend of mine named Ben.
We'll trade. I'll tell you about mine.
And Ben, over the course of knowing him, basically got banned from every game session that's ever happened. Like, for example, during a game of Resistance, he voted against his own team in secret, which is against the rules, just because he felt like seeing what would happen. In D&D, my previous character died, and I was rejoining the campaign as a druid with shape-shifting powers, and I was just sort of secretly spying on them while they were in some jungle temple, just as various wildlife, and Ben comes right up to this wildlife and attacks it, because he knows that it's a player, which is not how role-playing works, because there's already just wildlife just wandering around in the jungle. Like, you don't just attack a random bird you encounter for funsies. But when it hit the breaking point, because everyone's tired of all of his bullshit tricks he would always do, where he would just ignore the difference between player knowledge and character knowledge. One of the biggest things that happened is there was a deck of many things, which is a campaign killer. You shouldn't have that anyway, but there was a NPC that drew from the deck of many things and got an NPC subordinate, but that the original NPC died at some point, and the subordinate was basically freaking out a little bit. So we subdued them, and Ben was voting in favor of straight up executing the guy. But the problem is Ben was playing as a monk that was like lawful good with like a vow of poverty. So like everything about that character was like, I'm supposed to always be good and always lawful and always great. And just out of spite, my friend Sid was just being like Darth Sidious and saying, do it, in his ear to try to talk him into doing this, so he'd finally suffer a consequence for all of his role-playing breaking actions. Because if he killed this guy, he would either lose his alignment or he would lose his vow of poverty, so some fundamental part of how his character works would break, and he would just be devastated at that point. And I was just sad that I didn't know about his plan or when he was doing it, because I was sitting there being logical and explaining to him why none of the things he's doing make sense. But if I had been on that plan, I would have totally wanted to see him just dig that hole as far as he could.
Yeah.
At some point, you eventually meet a player that you just have spite for in your campaign.
Yep. So I was in kind of the same boat. In chat, Sniper GW was calling me out for being a munchkin. I don't like go into like extended. Well, you've heard that term, right?
Oh,
for
right.
D&D player?
That's the term that it's the term that the card game is based around.
Yeah. So sort of the card game doesn't really touch into like what munchkinry really is, but it's effectively like true munchkinry is rules lawyering your character so hard they're unbeatable.
Oh yeah.
So going into like extended codexes for feats that like work with things that just get stupid. Like in Pathfinder, there's a bunch of grapple feats, and if you take all of them, you end up with an extra like plus 30 to grapple checks. So yeah. So I've actually been taking them for my campaign, but we're tempering them all so they're not nearly as overpowered. So like one of them literally just lets you wrestle two people at the same time and do other stuff at the same time. Like it gives a whole slew of benefits, and it's like, it's really overpowered for one feat. Let's split it up into two.
Like double the cost or something.
You kind of, yeah. And that's a little bit more reasonable. But so I had a munchkin that had a hard on for torturing everybody else, if that makes sense. So for one of his characters, his favorite character, that he tried introducing repeatedly and we hated, was this. He was like a sorcerer or something like that, but he had like this really weird prestige class that effectively let him make intimidate checks anytime he spoke, looked at somebody, or cast a spell, more or less all the time, every round, because his character wouldn't shut up. But if you're the subject of an intimidate check, you would take damage, and if you failed the resistance to it, you take more damage. So effectively, every round that we were in combat or having dialogue, we'd take about 5 to 10 damage.
What a weird mechanic to just even have.
Yeah, it's from the like Dragon magazine, and it would be great if you were like, using this against enemies, but he specifically was going out of his way to make sure that he was hitting like the party members. And so I had a ranger with a really high perception check. And so eventually I'm like, can my character like figure out that it's whenever he talks that we take damage, because he was like bluffing and making sure, and he failed the bluff check and I succeeded the perception. So my character knew that this guy was effectively killing us slowly.
Great party member there.
Yeah. And so I had a plus like 7 mighty bow. Like I was an incredibly strong ranger for whatever reason. I shot him with like 6 arrows at once, obliterating his character because he only had 30 hit points because he put all of his points into charisma. And he had like a 6 constitution because nobody could attack him because he just intimidated them out of doing it. And so my character was out of I was hiding in the rafters and I just shot him from like 100 feet away where he couldn't talk to me.
You had a Killgrave in your party.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It was like the character was interesting, but he needed to die.
Dick about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He was always a dick. Like he would go out of his way to fireball everyone even if he didn't need to. Like if we were fighting a single target, he had fireball and lightning bolt, and he'd always use fireball.
I would just build characters that seemed fun.
Yeah. For him, fun was abusing other people.
Fun was nightmares.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, at one point I had a strength melee dual wielding half-orc hunter. And at some point, like, the most fun I've ever had with D&D actually was playing as a druid that I kind of modeled after, like, Full Metal Alchemist. So I took the shape-shifting perk that means you have no companion, but you can shape-shift like crazy, like you're an animorph or something, with no, like, restrictions. But the big focus was that I took, like, wood shape and earth shape and metal shape and stuff. So I could just move walls. So I would basically tunnel my way through the environments that we were playing levels in and just create my own solutions to problems and just infuriate the GM. Or the DM.
Stone to Mud, or whatever that one is really fun in dungeons. I had a level 15 cleric once, and we were going through this dungeon, and we found out from, like, Detect Magic or something like that we were directly above the, like, chamber. I'm like, is there anything, like, it's just stone, right? I'm like, and the DM's like, yeah. It's like, okay, I'll just make a tunnel.
And it really pisses them off.
There's a wall of force blocking your way, and we dispelled it with a greater dispel and just dropped down, bypassing the entire dungeon.
They always want to create excuses to stop you, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they just DM law it, but in this case, the DM was like, all right, you've managed to do things that I did not expect. Bravo.
Yeah, one of our DMs created this massive castle with the entire wall covered in these orc archers that were all going to fire on us, and they had longbows, and we were going to have to, like, make our way, like, 300 style through all these shots. I just went into my wolf form that has absurd movement speed, ran around the corner of the building, so I was out of line of sight, shaped the wall open, and just walked inside, and I realized I was inside their armory, where all of their weapons were stored, so I summoned 3 bears and just kind of waited, and upstairs, they actually were, he was rolling so poorly, he actually was critically missing with some of the orcs, and the way we would interpret that is if an enemy critically misses, usually it would involve, like, something about their weapon breaking or being dropped and lost or something like that. So these dumb orcs were snapping their bows and coming down to the armory to find a new one, and getting mauled by 4 bears. And that's how that counter went. D&D's really fun. It's so open to shit happening that no one expects to happen, basically, and that's why it's interesting.
Yeah.
That's basically why Twilight Imperium's cool, too, is because it's just a bunch of complicated rules to make a cool, like, goal-oriented mechanic system happen, where a bunch of players happen, but the entire interesting thing isn't even who wins, but what everyone does to each other.
I think if I was ever to actually do, like, a real D&D campaign, I'd almost rather it be, like, in person with an omnidirectional camera, because I know Funhouse did that, and it looked really cool, because you could actually drag the YouTube video around and look at, you know, every position.
And all you need to do is get really expensive hardware.
Yeah. Like I said.
But all those pipe dreams, right?
Yeah, well, I mean,
I need to figure out how to get proper backlighting first, and set up a microphone for podcasting that doesn't cover part of my face half the time when I'm sitting in the wrong position. I think we're probably good to close it up, though. Our disorganized, probably already twice as long as planned podcast.
Yeah, I've copied over a couple more questions that popped up, but we'll do them next time.
Yeah, definitely next time. Yeah. Thanks for coming by, everyone. This has been an experiment of 2 guys talking and a weirdly large number of people spectating. That internet's a weird place. We're just having casual conversation, basically, and that's our podcast.
It works.
There's almost 40 people watching between our 2 streams right now.
Yeah.
However that happens. And there's going to be hundreds of views on this video, whether they watch the whole thing or not. And it's 2 guys talking. 2 guys, well, 2 or at least 1 person that those people like given, but yeah, internet's weird. Thanks for coming by, guys. Be sure to come by next time. We'll have announcements up or something, hopefully.
Yeah,
and
I'll probably publicize a little bit better too.
Oh yeah, and if you're watching this video and you've made it this far, congratulations. Leave a comment on the video with your questions for the next week. Is a reasonable way to handle this, because then we can look at last week's podcast on our channels to see more questions for next week, and maybe at some point we'll have a format for this.
Yes, and a name, maybe.
Yeah.
If we do this more than 3 times.
Oh yeah, leave comments of what the name should be.
Yes.
I expect a lot of comments on each of our channels that are completely biased in favor of one person's name that doesn't even include the other person in any way.
Fishbot. Fishbot.
Fishbot. Oh god. Bring that one back. It would just I'm okay with having another layer of people being confused by my name. It never stops anyway.
Koof, Kef, Keith, Sebastian SB,
Wanderkoof.
Seabass.
That sounds really problematic.
Wanderkoof.
That sounds so problematic.
Yeah.